Welcome to the Prolific Pulse Poetry Podcast. This is your host, Lisa Tomey Zonneveld. I'm so happy today to welcome Laura Wize, author of, I'm going to say it wrong probably, Bougie Bitch Poetry. Did I say it right?
You said it right.
All right. Laura, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Laura. I am a Cincinnati born and bred, Cincinnati, Ohio, writer. I'm a poet. I'm a content creator. Um, I create a lot of content that is very centric to issues that affect women, that affect Black women especially. And I've been writing, producing, and performing for 13 years.
Wow. Now, what other, I know about the book, but have there other books that you have published as well?
No, this is my first book that I have published. So I've done like soundtracks or musical projects where it's kind of like poetry reading with music accompanied with it. And I've also written some stage plays and things of that nature, but I haven't had like a real book. So this is my first time.
Okay. And you're Cincinnati, so I'm guessing that you know doo-wop.
Yes, that's my best friend.
Love that. Love her. She's wonderful. Love her work too. And now, do you do her jam as well? Go to the performances and
Yes, I that is my partner. So we're best friends, we're partners. I help a lot on the production side of all the projects that Duop is currently working on. But she's been doing
uh,
it longer than me, but
well, that's
but
great. It's great. It's great to do things with your best friend and have fun doing it. And
it is. It's a
hear all
blessing.
this wonderful. I would love to go to something like that. They don't have anything like that around here. But maybe they should start one. But anyway, yeah, that would be awesome. So tell us about this book. Tell us about what inspired you to write it.
I don't think writing a book was on my radar until my publisher, Carlos with Sugar Sugar Publishing, reached out to me and was like, you should do a book. And and I thought, I guess I could. I have enough content to write a book. And I don't think I really had a full concept for it or anything. I just had my work. And when I started to think about how I wanted to present my work, I got really intentional about that because I wanted to make sure that it spoke to a specific audience.
Hmm.
And I was watching a television show that I like a lot called The Gilded Age. And I was really rooting for like the underdog of the show and relating to her, even though we have nothing in common other than wanting to be on top. But I was rooting for her a lot. And I felt some of the similarities of just how, ambitious women are uh, underestimated, or just when people want to discount you even though you're clearly qualified to do something. And it was just kind of like, I was just kind of riffing with my mom and I was like, I was like, I really hate it when people consider, people who want more bougie. And I was like, and then when you're a woman, you're a bougie bitch. And I was just so annoyed about it. I was like, I should call my book Bougie Bitch Poetry. And my mom was like, maybe you should. So when she agreed with me, I was like, well, maybe I should then, because once my mom gave me the okay, I was like, well, then that's what I'm gonna do. So that's basically kind of like how it started and where the inspiration came from. And then after that, it was more so curating the book to kind of match the chosen theme.
How long have you been writing the poetry that went into the
Uh, so long.
book?
It's probably a lot of things that I've written over the past 13 years.
Wow.
There's newer things that I wrote specifically for the book. And then there are also things that are, older. It's really a compilation of my work throughout the years.
Mhm. Yes, wow. I'm definitely going to have to get this book. I was looking at your website and actually I'm going to share that on the screen. Let's see here. There's your beautiful work on that. Do you do your own web work?
No, I had this done. I had this done.
This is beautiful. Well done. Very presentable. And you even have a little shopping page. I saw you even have like merchandise on here.
Yes,
Yeah, you
I
can
do.
buy like t-shirts and different things. Wonderful. You're everywhere.
I try to be.
I also saw something about TikTok. Are you on TikTok too?
Yeah, I am on TikTok. I mostly watch more TikTok than I post, but
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's great to be all out there into the world and to tell this world about this wonderful book that's coming out. And what kind of event are you having for your
I'm having
book?
a book signing on September 25th. And that's just going to be an opportunity to kind of share the book with, my chosen community and anybody who wants to come who's in the
Mhm.
area. We're going to have a little bit of time where we're going to talk to a few other women and have like a short panel where we're going to discuss issues in the book, not necessarily how they affect me, but how those themes and how those situations affect women. So we're gonna have that, and then I'm gonna read a few poems, and we're have a good time.
Sounds like fun. Wish I could be there. It's a little bit of a drive for me, but it'd be nice.
A little.
Been there, but just passing through kind of thing. So, all right. Well, how about you read one of these poems out of this book? You shared some with me. They're all wonderful.
Yes. I think the first poem that I'm going to read is in a section called "In My Hood." All the book is sectioned into 5 different sections that I kind of felt like where we deem a woman bougie. So this section is "In My Hood," and this poem is called "Best of Both Worlds." I stole my swag from church wives, from women who said things like, "Never let them see you sweat." I grew up around Black couples and Black love, around men who took pride in how well they treated their woman. Granted, some of that was rooted in misogyny, but at the time, it sounded good to me. Have you ever fallen asleep to the ambient noises of a church sermon? A two-parent household didn't seem like a rarity when the wages of sin are death. Did you ever get into trouble for treating offering call like a fashion show? You would have thought the center aisle was a runway. Church wives treated decorating their homes like a competitive sport. It always kept my mother on edge, but she has the kind of class you can't buy. When other women were claiming they had the best husband in the church, my dad was at work making sure we had the best he could afford. My poor parents just wanted to be in the ranks of the well respected saints, but their child was a rebel, a questioner of the pulpit, an asker of, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Troublemaker, a shit starter. I never found a biblical text that supported red lips meaning desiring a kiss. This all could have seemed like a passing phase if I could just come out right. But life has a way of leading you down a path that affirms people's confirmed bias. I thought I was ready for the world, but I was sheltered. A rebellious church girl is still tame in a lion's cage, a misfit among miscreants, a harlot amongst the holy, a truth no one is ready for. I suppose I have the best of both worlds.
Wonderful. That was great. I love it. It's relatable. There's so much that uh, society has certain competitions and expectations and that, and I could relate to this. I mean, I was brought up with not a lot. My dad was in the military, and I don't know if you know about much about military life, but uh, you don't get a lot of pay while you're in the military. The carrot they dangle is getting the retirement,
Yeah.
and then moving up in the ranks, which he did that, but still, it was always a little bit tight. And the ladies all got together for the little gathering, and they were all like hoity-toity fancy and all that. And they were talking about what different styles of furniture that they had in their homes. And they were going around and, oh, I have this and I have that. And they asked my mom what she had. She says, oh, I have early goodwill. My mother had a sense of humor.
Oh man, I would have loved to hear that. That would be to be there to be a fly on that wall.
kind of shut the room down, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a that's a showstopper right there.
And it's really funny because my mother's is kind of a little bit soft spoken and that, but when she says something, everybody stop and listen. Crack me up. But I thought about that as I was reading through this and with you that, there's so much out there that's unfair in society and the way people are and the way people, you know, look down on us. And so what if you want to wear red lipstick? So what? You know,
So
it is the world gonna fall apart?
it's not, but I think it's a protective like defense mechanism to have all
Mhm.
these like rules and sets of qualifiers to deem who's good and who's bad. I think
Mhm.
people really just don't want their feelings hurt, so they create these expectations around culture. They create them around just regular mechanisms to point out things that like you could personally like, but it's like, oh, but you're doing that, so now we have to put you over here.
Mhm.
And I think it's just a time saver to be able to prejudge people. And it's like I don't have time to actually get to know you. I'm gonna base my opinion of you on these observational things I can see, and I can move on with my day. And sometimes we have to slow down and really see the humanity in other people and see how we relate more than we actually are different.
Mhm. Exactly. You're right on point with that. How about another poem?
Okay. I believe the other poem that I sent you is called In Need.
Mhm.
That is in the In My Closet section. I believe I wrote this poem from a prompt at a poetry workshop, and it's one of my favorites. So this is called In Need. Desperate single woman in need of a relaxer and a fill in. Days rise and nights disappear. Trying to remember the fall, appears we lost it all. Desperate single woman in need of a relaxer and a fill in. She tallies the bills, picks up extra work, and attempts to have standards in a free market. Desperate single woman in need of a relaxer and a fill in. A little less shiny than the other girls. She wonders why she has to do it by herself. She might accept relationships a little less than meant, a shade lighter than meant to be. Desperate single woman in need of a relaxer and a fill in. Tax time splurges come once a year. On the brink of cashing in her chips, when it's go hard or go home, life gets real. Friends with benefits ain't all that beneficial. She'll juggle the bills and settle before the ruling. Time waits for no woman. So she'll settle for that fill in. Men chasing her with professions of love seem like a fantasy. Alone is the new reality. The last of a dying breed will be buried with her morals and her high standards. Her counterparts will attend her burial funeral fresh with pressed tresses and a full set.
Wow, that's very powerful. What was the drive behind that? I can kind of feel it. I want to hear it from you.
Um, I really like the depictions of like everyday experiences. And I think poetry can often have a sound or a frequency that feels kind of like very stuffy. And I like infusing like the experiences of Black women. Um, like a relaxer is, something you do to your hair, and the filling is your nails. And it's just like an observation of like kind of watching someone or watching society. And I like kind of like our inner culture of Black women, of the things we do and how we kind of get down and the language and the lingo. I like putting that into poetry and giving it a more formal, fancy feeling.
Mhm.
So the poetry of it all is kind of like, the way we do our hair and the way we do our nails, and the emotional standpoint of a lot of women who probably can't keep up with beauty standards because it's expensive.
It's very
And
expensive.
but we still try to attempt to, be pretty or be whatever we're supposed to be in that moment. And sometimes it comes at a cost. It comes at, are you going to be lovey and nice, or are you going to make the choices that would afford you the opportunity to keep your hair done and your nails done? So
Exactly.
yeah, that's basically where that came from.
And I like the repetition in this. I mean, it drives it home as you go along. It keeps emphasizing the point. And, I really like that as well. Yeah, you're right about it being expensive. I used to get my hair cut at a black salon because I have natural curly hair, and it's really hard to find anybody that knows how to work with my hair. And I haven't had a good hairdresser since 'cause she was wonderful. And I noticed the prices were higher. It was worth it to me, but it's even higher if you have black hair because there's so many things that you have to do
It
with the
is.
relaxer and all of that. So, yeah. So things that we white folks take for granted. I can go to
Yeah.
Supercuts, come out of there less than $20, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I know. Yeah, but I think it's important to really show, the standpoint of like life in modern times. I think if you read Langston Hughes or
Mhm,
if you read Maya Angelou, you do get the feeling of the times that they were in. And I like being able to highlight the type of times that we're in through poetry, like so that somebody could look at my poems, 20, 30, 40 years from now and be like, oh, so this is what they were doing back, this is what we were culturally doing in that time.
mhm. Exactly. It is set in the time, but it's also timeless. Love that aspect
Yeah,
of it.
that
Yeah.
is one of my favorite things.
You're really a wonderful poet. I really enjoy these a lot. I was reading them and going through and analyzing them and thought, wow, this is really good stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get your book. Speaking of which, if someone wants to get your book, how did they do that?
Well, today is the last day of pre-sale. So if they want to get it today, it will be on bougiebitchpoetry.com. And then it'll still be on bougiebitchpoetry.com, but not back up and available until September 25th. And then also they can get on Amazon, Walmart, barnesandnoble.com, anywhere books are sold.
And do you have an ebook as well?
Yes, the ebook is also on Amazon and it probably is available a few other places. But I definitely know it's going to be on Amazon.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So you have one more poem you sent me, and it's called "A Lie That You Choose to Believe." Would you like to read that for me?
Sure, sure, absolutely. What looks like good communication today can be everything was a lie tomorrow. What once looked and felt like love in today's light turns out to be clear manipulation. And not just because of the woman on the other side of town, not just because of the nights that you didn't spend with me, but more so because when you lie to me, you think that I believe you. Your false narrative isn't for me. This story is for you. Facing your truth would be unbearable. It would crack the foundation of the character you've developed, and you're not ready to stop playing this role. Wouldn't it be easier to embrace the scoundrel that you are? He probably needs a hug. What felt endearing last year, I have acknowledged is abuse today. You must have thought that I was a moron standing next to a gas pump at Exxon for inhaling every gaslit side comment, but I wanted to be seen as wonderful in your eyes. I wanted to be that girl. I wanted to be the envy of strangers when they realized that you were my possession. My obsession at times was vain, but my love for you was true. So I allowed you to mold me into the image that you saw fit. I just wasn't prepared to be written out of the script. I thought that I had given a masterful performance of a woman that you could love, but the casting director in your mind saw another girl, one from the other side of town, a girl with wider hips and looser lips, a girl who wouldn't catch on to the man behind the curtain. What's unresolved today will remain unresolved tomorrow if you never address it. And I dressed you in garments that you could never fit. Deep conversation, understanding, friendship, those aren't labels you can afford. You'd rather wear knockoffs. A dollar saved is a dollar spent, depending on your intent. You'd rather spend your time spinning a web of lies around the hearts that cry after you zip up your pants. After you're gone, it will almost be like you were never here. Just scars of disrepair that you told me were tattoos. You'll pump yourself up with the belief that you could have me again if you really wanted to. But that's just a lie that you choose to believe when you lay with the woman on the other side of town.
Wow. Now that tells a story. Oh, goodness. And who of us could not maybe tell about that once in a while in our lives? There's some things that have happened. So it's wow, very relatable, I thought.
Yeah, I like that poem. That was a prompt poem too. A prompt. I think the prompt was like include on the other side of town in your poem, and I really like that poem because it reminds me of my granddad. Just because he always had like sage advice, but it was like a saying. I can't remember him ever saying like a full declarative sentence. He would just kind of like say, you got to know what you know when you know it. And then he would just, that would be it. And I was like, I wonder if I could write a poem where I kind of like make a statement and then there's a stanza underneath it. And then I make another statement. So it's still probably more words than he would have put together, but I strategically placed the statements in there like a dollar saved is a dollar spent, or things like that, like what felt like love today is everything is a lie tomorrow. So it was like these small little snippets of like sayings that I had put together, and then I kind of made the poem. I put the stanza in between each saying.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. I thought it really was outstanding. And I like that you told me that backstory. I'm going to read through it again, having this man in the back of my mind as I read through it so I can pick out those points now. So thank you for
Yeah,
telling me that little
if you
secret.
read it again, you'll probably see like the little, like the small statement that goes along with the stanza.
I can see now. Yeah, I'm starting to see it now. Well, Laura, it's been a pleasure having you here today. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share?
Uh, no, we've talked about the book, and everything this week is about the book. So yeah, Bougie Bitch Poetry, Poems for the Misunderstood and Chronically Underestimated Woman. It is going to be on Amazon, on barnesandnoble.com. If they're interested in finding me, they can find me on social media at Wize1. And every Monday I have a podcast too. It's called Them Wise Girls. It's with my sister, and it's fun. We talk about like self-help and relationships and just kind of general overall lifestyle and health, but it's done in a fun, quirky way. So Them Wise Girls can be heard where you listen to wherever you listen to your podcast.
Yes, I added that to my follow list and have listened to it. So yeah,
Oh my goodness.
wonderful.
Then you've heard the goofiness.
I love it. We all have fun. That's the
Yes,
important
we
thing.
do.
Okay, well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on here today, and I wish you all the best of luck with your new book. I think that you will be a big hit. I really do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.